So the second, compromised position of the king. So here, not only the king is in the center, but f pawn is, well, was already moved, and he can hardly castle in some conditions. So what do you think? How to play for black here? So if white can castle here, I would say white is better, because with their f and e pawn, they limit black pieces. Okay, so there is a suggestion by Arush. Anybody else wants to say anything? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so once you see that the king, well, they are not developed, and the king is compromised, you may consider a sacrifice, especially if it almost fully compensates a piece that you sacrifice. So if you take with a knight, you get 2 pawns. However, you will be just 1 pawn up, because you are originally 1 pawn down. Rook c8 is unlikely to work here because, well, queen d7, and then what? You want to take on c3, but I think they will play this move just. Maybe there is bishop e5 this time, pawn takes, queen e2. But I don't know how to progress for black. The rook is hanging, the queens are about to get exchanged. So rook a8 definitely not. Knight e5 deserves attention, but should be well calculated. So bishop takes, the queen has to retreat. Where? It seems that the most logical retreat is d3 here. Not d1, because then bishop c3. Not d5, because still bishop c3 and the queen is not protected. Queen d2, playable, but I don't think there is a big difference between queen d2 and queen d3. We can play rook a d8 and chase the queen anyway. Look, with every move we create a threat, or at least prevent white from following their plan. They move their queen. What do you think we should continue with? Yeah, well, where else the other rook goes if the king is on the e-file? So the rook definitely goes to the e-file. However, if you decide to play rook f8 right away, what if they simply castle? So you do this, they castle, and where is your attack? Where is your compensation? Now you have to solve problems. There is bishop d4, but it's just a check. Okay, so Mark starts thinking in the right direction. So he says queen a6, prevention of castling. It's prevention of castling. Well, what do you think, guys, about this move? It looks interesting, but there is no guarantee it works. Well, this definitely fails. Take this, bishop e3. And then what? Rook d3. Yes, I agree. Rook d3 works. Yeah, so queen a6 is interesting. Well, they cannot play such a move like queen e2, but oh, maybe just bishop e3 trying to bring more pieces. So yes, it's the other way, but then it can be rook d3, and you have to keep the knight protected. Otherwise, castling becomes impossible. Yeah, knight e2 deserves attention, but I think bishop e3 is stronger. So rook e8. and king f2. So maybe he doesn't castle, but move his king to f2, which is still a safe square, especially when there is a bishop on e3. That's why actually we should prevent castling, but at the same time we should prevent the king escaping to f2 as well. So that's why the answer is bishop d4, not queen c5. Why not queen c5? Because bishop d4 also opens the e file for our rook. Our queen is already well placed, and we can find a better place later. So this move, it stops bishop e3. You can just simply take and then pin the queen. It stops castling. It stops, well, what they can play. Bishop d2 means you can play this move. They continued with this move, g3, trying to hide the king on f1 and then on g2. So check. King goes to f1. And, well, g3 still makes the king's position more open. What do you think you should play here? Well, rook e3, no, Peter, you cannot play rook e3. There is a bishop. Rook e6, what's the point? Rook e6, you want to double the rooks. And Brian also suggested rook e6. Well, it does make sense. So let's say they play this. F6. Good point. So this, no. Bishop f4. If g5, queen g4. So I think, well, rook f6, it's this. Well, maybe you can take. I take with a queen. I take with a queen, right? Because there is no rook d2 in such a case. If you take with a pawn, there is rook d2. Actually, maybe still not, because this takes, so too much material. White should be winning. At least they have a draw. But if they play properly, they are winning, of course. So, well, but queen g4, and now they threaten to take there. Because if you now take, and for some reason I decide to take there, no, there is still no rook d2. Okay, no, it fails. So now it's time to play bishop c3. Why so? Because look at these squares that the queen occupies. If we chase the queen away, we can relocate our queen to d5 and take advantage of the king being on g2. So they take with a pawn. What happens if they take with a queen? It's an easy win. Check here, another check. At least they lose a rook. I think there is a checkmate. For example, this, and this. So they took with a pawn, but then rook d3, and we chase the queen away, which allows us to take advantage of the light squares. Actually, if we do, well, we cannot play this move. We have to deliver a check first, right? We have to deliver a check, and then rook d3. King f2, rook d3. Now it works. And we're threatening to take with a check, so there is no c4 or something else intermediate. So queen g2 is a blunder, right? Or not? How should we play here? Queen. Yeah, queen f5 and rook d2. So bishop blocks, and then we win the queen. And if the bishop doesn't block, then we win the game. Fine. So queen f6. taking this square under the control. And how black wins in this position? King g1 then. So rook d2, bishop takes, queen e2, king g1. Yes, and there is a back rank open already. I mean, the first rank is open. Queen c5 check, king g2, rook e6, queen f4. Yeah, good point. It's rook e2. So rook e2, because this rook should be captured. Otherwise, it's checkmate. Ah, you were talking about this. No? Okay, what were you talking? Ah, okay. So not there is no checkmate. Oh, maybe there is. No, this is not a checkmate. No. Yeah, well, yeah, but you can bring this piece to the game, rook e2. So if he moves here or there, it's rook d1. So he has to take, and if he takes, we win the queen. So c4, queen c4, and take here. Or maybe they don't have to play c4. So let's say they move, we take. Even if it's not a check, we are ahead in material, and with such a king, the game is over in a few moves. So this is how black was able to realize their advantage in development, as well as the king's position, the compromised king's position. So the pawn was on f2, and this pawn was protected with something else. Maybe even if it was like that, the h pawn was gone and there was a pawn on f2, then white would be fine even without castling.